Welcome to episode 53 of the Thunder Underground podcast. I'm Trent, and as always, joined by Jason.
Hello, hello.
Hello. We've got a good one this week. We've got Eddie Green from Even the Dogs. We're going to get into all that here in just a bit. We're going to play an Even the Dogs track.
Yes.
And all kinds of great stuff. But of course, we wanted to talk about a couple other things before we get into that.
Yes. One being, speaking of dogs, today is my dog's birthday.
Is it really?
He's 9, which means he's like 60-something.
Yeah.
So he's an old man.
63.
Yes, 63.
Yeah.
He's an old man and he's still kicking. So happy birthday to Merc.
And for those of you that don't personally know Jason, he's named after...
Yes, he's named after Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how could you not love that?
Exactly. Well, happy birthday to Merc from everybody else.
Damn straight.
Well, we both had a pretty eventful weekend.
Yes, we did.
I was out of town. I went to WrestleMania 32.
Yeah. How was that?
That was a blast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did any rock bands come up out of the stage?
No, I didn't.
Triple H? Oh.
That didn't get that lucky this time. Well, obviously it couldn't be Motorhead.
Yeah, true.
Well, the time they came out of the stage, I wasn't there. They played with them twice.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I was there the first time, which was 15 years ago, WrestleMania 17.
Did you go when Living Colour played at WrestleMania?
No, when was that? I completely forgot about that.
Didn't they go and play for CM Punk, I thought?
That's right. Yeah, that was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
They played Cult of Personality. That's right. But no, I haven't been actual WrestleMania in 15 years because it's the first time it's been back in this area of the country.
Well, true.
But yeah, that was great fun. And I know at the same time this weekend you caught the local show.
Yes, went down to the Shrine in Tulsa. Saw Oklahombres, Dryvr, Motortrain and Gulch, and all 4 bands put on kick-ass shows. Finally got to see Oklahombres, finally.
I still haven't finally seen them, which sucks.
You still haven't seen them. You still haven't finally seen them.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm saying you got to see these guys. I was so stoked to finally get to see Oklahombres. They kicked the night off. You hear those songs on, you can get the little Bullet USB, go to Reverb Nation. You hear those songs, but, I mean, they sound just as great live, and they've got more songs, and just a great stomp, southern feel, and, I got to talk to Steve Ray a little bit, and they put on just an amazing set, Dryvr has always just sounded badass. I mean, they're a machine.
Yeah.
Just get out of the way when they're rolling through. For real. So happy to see them.
So did you see Mike's new drum kit?
I did. Yeah. It was,
well, obviously you saw it, you were there, but
yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Get up there pretty close and take a look.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. He has a drum set like no other, and, it is to be seen for sure. So, and then, saw another band, Motortrain, which I thought was amazing. You're gonna love them.
Yeah.
A good southern rock kind of thing, but also you got some kind of hot rod punk thing going on. It's just a great mix.
Yeah, I see that name all the time, and just it's something I keep forgetting to look into. But
yeah,
people say a lot of great things. So glad to hear.
Yeah, you gotta get into it. Gulch was badass. They were pretty damn heavy and brutal. So I mean, it was a great night. Good local show.
I saw a picture. I think that Sprout posted. Was he on stage with Gulch?
I think so.
Motortrain.
I'm not sure. I can't. Things were getting a little sketchy for me towards the end of the night.
Right.
So if I can't remember everything, please forgive me.
I'm sure he was on stage with Gulch because they're from Kansas, so that makes sense.
Yeah, there you go.
But I don't know.
But it was a great show, and a lot of cool people there. I just had a great time.
Cool. Well, yeah. Hopefully, get a chance to see some of these bands again soon. I know Oklahombres is playing at Downtown Lounge on the 27th of April, opening up for Honky. And who else is on it? Grind.
Yep.
And Grind, I know, is playing this weekend at Billy and Renee's with Skytown, I think.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? I
Yes.
didn't look that up. I'm just winging this here. But I think it's Grind and Skytown and maybe the Plums or something else. Someone else pretty good, too.
Nice, nice. I just looked on Motortrain's Facebook, and Sprout was playing with Motortrain.
Oh, okay.
My drunken self lied. I apologize. So, anyways, but it was a great night, and it was badass for sure.
And you said John Halata was out there too.
Yes.
So we got half a Screaming Red Mutiny out there representing.
Cody Slane was there.
Oh, nice.
I mean, it was, and they're all asking about you, man.
Oh,
you
really?
know?
Well, that's
asking
cool.
where you were at. So you better get out there next time.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
You know, I would have been there if I was in town for sure.
Cool.
All right. Well, anything else big happen? I got Guns N' Roses tickets.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
And
how does that feel?
It feels great.
Really?
Yeah, I know there's people out there like Kevin Graham who's butthurt that people like Guns N' Roses. You know,
I think he's more butthurt that you like wrestling, but whatever.
Hey, I don't care what people think about anything. I like Roxette. I like Ice Cube. I like Sheryl Crow. I'm just throwing it all out there.
Oh God.
I used to watch Beverly Hills 90210 and loved every second of it. There you go.
Man. Well, we just lost a lot of listeners on that one.
Right.
But
well,
here's the thing, though. You know, you're gonna have to wait till like 3 a.m. for him to go on.
oh, I doubt that. They never did that back in the day. You're exaggerating.
I know. I'm giving you a hard time.
Anyway, I got pit tickets, which is what I was hoping for, and that's what makes it.
How long did that take?
How long did what take?
You must have got in there quick to get that.
No, I got in there quick, and instantly I had just like 15th row seats or something behind the pit. And then I almost bought it, and I just said, screw this, and then just dumped them out of my cart and just started refreshing. And they kept getting worse. And then all of a sudden, after a few minutes, they kept getting a little bit better, because I guess it got past that point where you have like 5 minutes to do it, or it drops out.
Yeah.
So once it got to like 10:06, 10:07, then they started getting a little better, and then all of a sudden it said 2 pit tickets at like 10:09. So it was worth the risk, and I got it.
Jesus. Remember when you used to be able to like camp out for tickets?
Yeah.
And now you just have to have really quick fingers.
Right.
That's bullshit.
Yep. Well, speaking of that, I know that comes up later in this conversation we're about to get into. I remember Eddie Green brought up the Guns N' Roses thing.
Yep.
At some point. It's kind of fuzzy because a lot of stuff has went on since we recorded that, but
yeah. Well, real quick before we get into, so do you think Adler or Izzy is going to show up at any of these shows?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it'll be an every show thing, and if they do, obviously it'll be like a few songs.
Yeah.
And I could see like an Adler thing being part of the whole tour where he comes out for a few songs every night.
Yeah.
I don't see Izzy agreeing to do that.
Yeah,
because he never wanted to do that in the first place. So.
Yeah, he's a loose cannon. He's his own thing for sure.
Which, speaking of, I don't know, did I bring this up before? I might have, but those videos that he posted online.
Yeah.
Go look those up. I know you have. I'm not talking to you.
Yeah,
I'm talking to the microphone.
everybody should look those up.
Yeah, like there's recent videos of Izzy playing
Stuck in the Middle of You.
Yeah, and then there's another song. I can't remember what the other song was. It wasn't as big a hit, just an old 60s song.
Yeah.
And just him sitting on his back porch playing the acoustic guitar, singing.
Yeah, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely worth checking out. We're gonna talk about Even the Dogs now.
Let's play the song.
Yeah, let's play this song. We've got Even the Dogs with their brand new single. This song's called Optimist. That was Optimist from Even the Dogs. That's their brand new single, just came out a couple weeks ago. That's going to be on their forthcoming album that's coming sometime this summer. Another great track from these guys. They had another single which came out later last year called Ghost. And this is along the same vibe as that.
Yeah.
Just this real, precise, just this badass metal sound. I love the vocals on everything they've done. I know on this one the clean vocals are done by the guitarist, not Eddie.
Okay.
But Ghost, that's him, and all the previous stuff's him.
Yeah.
And it just sounds phenomenal. I mean, they're a great band. I love what you said in that review you did last year, where they kind of have that Scandinavian feel, like soil work and stuff.
Yeah, they have that melodic death thing, And
then they also have the the American sound too, the Killswitch, all that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
All mixed together, and it's just a great band that I'm really excited to see. They're playing Oklahoma this year. They played last year. Really looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah, I mean, they've got lyric videos up for these songs, Optimist and Ghost. Go check them out. I mean, just a powerhouse, a barn burner of a song. I mean, it'll just rip your face off.
Right.
Great stuff. And we were glad to talk to Eddie there for a little bit.
Yeah, this song and the previous stuff, that EP called They'll Never See It Coming a couple years ago. Great stuff as well. You can get all their stuff on all the sites where you can buy music. Amazon, iTunes, all that great stuff. You can find them on, like you said, YouTube. Look up Optimist, Even the Dogs. Well, with all that being said, is it time to just get right into this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I wish the rest of the band could have got out here, but we're all kind of scattered. With drummers in Midwest City, our bass players in Okmulgee, our lead guitarist just moved out to Monkey Island.
Wow.
So the only one even close is our rhythm guitarist, and he's still working. So I was like, you know what? I'm the voice of the band anyway. I might as well just do it.
There you go.
So how does all that work for
practice
and everything?
Rehearsal right now, we've been doing the same set with the exception of the two new songs that we have in the set. We've been doing the same set for a couple of years. This new album has turned into Chinese democracy, is what it's turned into. We're pushing really hard. In fact, I was supposed to go cut vocals tonight, but it's one of those situations that our producer's so slammed right now. He's launching a new venture called Route My Tour that is going to basically change the whole face of the game for independent bands. It will allow them to be their own booking agent with access to every major venue, that they can play. It'll have major event venues, but it'll take the booking agency out of the equation, and it puts all the power in your hands, which is kind of where we are. We signed with Warner Brothers in 2010, and it was the worst experience of my life.
Wow.
Would never sign a major record deal ever again. So at least I would sign with a smaller label like Face Down or somebody like that, but I would never sign with a major again. It was terrible.
Yeah, and it just doesn't seem to make sense nowadays anyways.
Well, no, because we hired a really highfalutin manager. He had managed everybody from Kiss, Black Oak, Arkansas, Leonard Skinner, and he had worked with some big Pop Evil. He had worked with some big guys, and it just seemed like all we were doing was giving him money. I was like, we'd show up and we'd play shows, and he'd just have his hand out, and he wasn't doing a whole lot for us, and he didn't like the discussion we had with him. We're pretty business savvy about what we do. Whenever we went into the label, we set our own terms. We said, here's how much we're willing to tour. Here are the masters for the completed full-length album. Here's $10,000 worth of artwork for the album. Here's the video ready for Headbangers Ball. Here's our entire merchandise line. We're going into you debt-free. All you're going to do is duplicate however many physical units you're going to distribute worldwide, which only ended up being about $1,500 because physical distribution has really fallen by the wayside. So we're out about $750, to the label. They were in shock, because we had our own production, everything. We retained all of our publishing rights. They were like, wow, because we were going through the contract. Nope. They were just like, I don't know if we can do that. And I'm like, oh, I don't need you. Good luck. You know, so they were like, "What do you mean?" I said, "The only thing I want you for is distribution. That's it. I just want the 88 Warner distribution. That's it. I could care less about the rest of anything you want to do for us." I said, "Because we're doing okay. You approached us, so we obviously got your attention." You know, and it sounded kind of pompous, but you have to be that way with them because they're going to screw you regardless. And we got screwed. We never saw a dime of royalties, and we went in debt free. Not one single dime. Oh, wait, I take that back. I got $1.15 check from ASCAP Europe. That was it.
Wow.
Man.
I framed it.
Of course.
So did the album get released?
It did. It went to 39 countries. It's terrible. It's a horrible album compared to where we are now. At the time, we were a 4-piece. It was self-produced. We thought it was artwork was gorgeous. I mean, our art with the lady that does Lamb of God and God Forbid and a lot of these different bands did our artwork, and she gave it to us. She was like, "This is awesome." She was going to charge us like $600 for $10,000 worth of art. I tried to pay her and she wouldn't let me.
Wow.
And it was beautiful. The songs themselves were good, just horribly produced. So we don't even tell people about that album because it is just bad. I mean, compared to where we are now, you know, it's just bad. Our producer changed the whole face of the game for us. So we're produced by Kyle Simpson at Atomic Studios, and he produces Fight the Fade. He produces a guy from Jonah 33. He does some pretty decent names, but he gives us, we don't pay a dime for recording, for production, for mastering, anything. He believes that much in what we do. He does everything for us for free.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are so blessed in that respect because now, granted, we kind of have to operate on his time constraints, you know, so that's why it's turned into Chinese democracy. But we also too, and we can talk about this whenever you guys are ready. But this album is so different than anything we've done because we wrote this in the studio 100%. Not one of these songs were ever rehearsed or played live. They were basically Lego construction. Yeah. Walk in with a riff and we'd build on that riff, and then we would do this and we would do that, and then I'd go in and go, okay, well, let's try to cut some vocal lines to that. So you mentioned rehearsal. We played a backing tracks and clicks and everything so that we're so tight, and it is going to be we're going to take 2 to 3 months just to rehearse the album before we can ever play it live because none of us have ever played these songs as a band. It'll be different. It's going to be a big roller coaster ride. You know, it's not going to be anything like what you're expecting. There's everything from a piano ballad to some alt indie type stuff to Whitechapel to everything in between. It's just the craziest full length there'll be something for everybody on it.
Yeah.
So we're excited about it.
Well, I mean, you know, you've put out the Optimist. What's the response been to that?
It's been good. I wish it would have garnered some more plays. We are not the kind of band that cheats. You know, because you can buy boosts and plays on YouTube and all that. And if I was going after a major record deal, I may drop that money to do that. But we really want 100% integrity in what we do. You know, it got 400 and some odd plays in the first 24 hours. You know, it's HM Magazine's already reached out to us and they're really excited. They gave us 4 out of 4 stars on the EP. So, you know, they're wanting to hear more. The critical side of life is wanting to hear more. But what surprised us the most was how many musicians were sharing it. And that's how we know we're making an impact, if your peers like what you do. You know, your fans are fickle. They can sit there. You'll see 200 people show up for a garage band of teenagers that suck. So fans are a little harder to trust. It's the critical aspect that we look at and go, you know, are we putting good music out? What do they think about it? What do our peers think about it? What do people like you from Thunder Underground that listen to music all the time? You know, what do you guys think about it? That's where we really take heart. We know we have a fan base. But what do the critical people say? And it's been very well received. It followed up. Ghost was actually the first single. And a year later, well, I guess we better throw something else out there because we're getting ready to release an album this summer, hopefully. You know, so we threw Optimist out there. And realistically, I would have went in a different direction. But Optimist has our lead guitarist singing on the chorus as opposed to me. So I wanted to kind of showcase him too and show that we have another facet of what we do.
That was going to be one of my questions because the vocals switch so quick, and I was like, is there two guys doing that or is there one? And because I mean, it just goes from brutal to just clean like that. And
Now, 99% of the time, it is me.
Okay.
Like on Ghost, that's all me.
Yeah.
There's no other backing vocals on that. I can do what Blaine's doing, but I went in and I cut it, and I didn't like the energy on it. And it was something missing. And Kyle said, Blaine, go in there and give it a shot, because Blaine sings the high harmonies on stuff. He went in there and did it, and he had this new metal, almost Under Oath-ish kind of, or not even Under Oath, like Emery style feel. And I was like, oh, that's sick. I Leave It. I love that. His tone is just new enough that it worked. And then we tried it again on a brand new track called Mask that is absolutely freaking brutal. I mean, it is so good, and it's just got one line that's of each chorus that's being sung, and then the rest of it's just attacked. I mean, and he went in and tried it and didn't work, and I went in and cut it, and it was like the same thing as Ghost. It just worked with me on vocal. I've got that big Howard Jones style voice, where I just really get that. People don't understand how I do it, and it's been a lot of training to be able to go from that brutal gargling lava and broken glass to just pristine cleans and then right back in. It was challenging at first, but I've got it down now. I know how to do it. So
there you go.
Did you start one way or the other?
I've always been a singer first.
Okay.
I had to learn to do the new metal style vocals. I was an 80s metal singer. I was a screamer. I was Rob Halford, David Coverdale, Michael Matajevic, Mark Slaughter. I was just that real Bruce Dickinson. And so whenever I tried to do the metal screams, it would come out like that. And I was like, it would come out as like high screams. So I studied with Melissa Cross, who does the Zen of Screaming series. And she saved my vocal life because I was well on my way to blowing everything out because I was doing it wrong. I was pushing way too hard, and in-ears saved my life too. I had to go to in-ear monitors, and we all run in-ears on stage. But that changed the whole face of the game for me, knowing how to scream correctly without injuring my voice. And I kind of had an epiphany. We were on tour, and we were down in Dallas, and there was a technical death metal band, a lot like Within the Ruins and Despised Icon, and that just exceptional band. And the guitar players looked bored. They're up there, all these sweep arpeggios, and they're up there talking to each other. I'm like, oh my God, because we're not technical. We're not super technical. We're pretty commercial. But these guys were just studs, and they were all like 17. I was like, I hate you so bad. And but the singer could only inhale. Could only do it like that.
Oh, wow.
And I asked what happened, and he said he was on tour and he was screaming, and he blew his vocal cords, and blood just started spewing out of his throat and onto the stage, and he'll never sing again. I was like, yep, I'm getting some training.
Yeah,
that is not going to happen to me because I am a singer first. My vocal style, the things that I write is very singer-songwriter type stuff, like Mark Broussard or John Mayer, Joe Bonamassa. That's really the kind of stuff that I write. But I'm just a metalhead through and through. I love metal music. I love the outlet. I love the intensity, and it's something that I'm going to do it until I can't do it well. So.
Was the brutal stuff hard for you when you first started it?
It was, because it's a different push than what you're used to. I'm a classically trained vocalist, so I can do opera and I can do all that stuff. And it was one of those situations at the time before I started screaming. I had a 5-octave range. I could hit every note that Halford hit. I used to cover Painkiller like to the T. And I would warm up with Michael Matajevic and Mark Slaughter so that I could get my range ready to go. And, get up there and do these big soaring Bruce Dickinson and Rob Halford screams. Well, the push was different, and you have to constrict your vocal cords differently. So whenever you're doing the big guttural new metal screaming, you have to take your vocal cords and squeeze them around your real talking and singing set so that you don't damage them. And that push is like an in and up to get that pressure, that sound pressure. I actually have so much sound pressure, I popped the diaphragm on an SM58 mic.
Wow.
I was mid-scream. I hit it, and you just started popping. So, and it was, once I learned how to do that correctly, then I had to get my volume up. Because you just start off doing it really soft, like, roar, you know, just kind of in the back of your throat, and you just start pushing a little harder and a little harder and a little more air. And if you do it right, you can hold the scream 30, 40 seconds, you know, or longer if you're pushing and you're controlling your breath right. So yeah, it did. It came out terrible the first, you know, few shows that I was trying it. It was just, it would break up and I'd sound like a metal singer going through puberty. It was so bad, you know, and I go back and watch the videotapes of the shows and it's just embarrassing, you know, and it is a fine art. It's something you got to do your warm-ups. If you don't do your warm-ups, you know, before the show, at least stupid wee-oops and z's and monkey, whatever crap. If you're not doing it, and they make fun of me, but I'm like, you warm up with paradiddles and you're over there doing sweeps and you're doing this. This is my instrument. I have to protect it. And once you get your volume up, then you just walk out and kill it, you know. And the good thing is, if you're doing it right, you can do it night after night after night after night, you know. But if you don't, you're hoarse the next day, and the second show is worse than the first, and by the third day you can't talk. So, like that.
I'm sorry, I had it all day. I apologize.
No, it's all right.
He had a show last night.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
He's
Awesome. Yeah, Madison Square Garden just flew in for this.
Actually,
I appreciate it.
My living room screaming at my wife, but that's a completely different story.
Heck yeah, I understand.
Anyway, sorry about that.
That's all right.
But you mentioned Ghost was. I was going to ask you about that. Like, since that came out so long ago, I thought maybe that was just a standalone single. Is that
No, it's going to be on the album.
Okay.
The whole website, we're coming out with a whole brand new thing. The album's going to be called Rebirth. There was a sneak peek of the cover and the album title in Optimist. And it really is going to be just that for us. It's a complete reinvention of even the Dogs, because I believe bands get stagnant and set in their ways. And, you know, we're not a band that's out there like a Killswitch Engage or a Five Finger Death Punch that we have that kind of following where they're expecting consistency all the time. So we are in a great place to be able to do experimentation, you know, and be able to try some different things and still stick to our core kind of groove metal, new metal sound that we have. It's so hard to categorize what we are, you know, because we do go run the gamut, and this album is going to showcase how versatile we really are as musicians. You'll just have to hear it. I mean, it's going to surprise some people that are just diehard 100% metalheads are not going to like it. I'm going to tell you right now, they're not. If you are just pigeonholed and small-minded and the only thing you care about in life is metal and you don't listen to anything else, like country music fans, you know, if that's it, then yeah, there's going to be some tracks that are going to disappoint you, you know. But if you are a musician's, you know, you like musicians and you like good musicianship, this album is going to shock you, you know. And there's some Periphery style stuff on there. There's some really staccato Whitechapel stuff style on there. There's the straight ahead Ghost and Mask and things like that. There are stuff like Trivium, you know, or Ghost BC style stuff, and it's just very different. Every track is a different track. So there's one that's just a straight ahead rock track called Cynical. I mean, there's no screaming, there's no nothing in it. It's just all singing. So yeah, it's going to surprise some people, both Cynical and the track one. Everything will be a one-word title.
Yeah.
The album's called Rebirth. Every song will be a one-word title. That we wanted to stay very simplistic in the approach and still be able to convey a very deep, meaningful, thought-provoking message at the same time. So it's a challenging, lyrically challenging album. It'll challenge your intellect and a lot of introspection and things like that too. You know, we wrote about some pretty deep, dark subject matter, you know, but not so dark that it can't be understood. Yeah. Just basically where people have been, you know, in their life, things that they've experienced. And so like Mask is about being one person and the world sees another, you know, and what happens whenever those two finally meet, you know. And so it's, you know, Cynical, same way, is just about walking through life and glass is half empty and the cynicism that you have and whether or not you can overcome that and actually see, you know, the silver lining in life. And the end track is Betrayal. It's just a piano track and me, on vocal, and it's very dark and very haunting and very painful. Ghost is about hypocrisy. Optimist is basically about the battle that you fight in life and never giving up, and so it kind of runs the gamut. It's a very introspective album. We're really proud of the lyrical content on it. It's challenging. There's always that light at the end of the tunnel. We try to be a really positive influence in a doom and gloom genre. That's kind of what we want to do.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good curveball to throw people.
Yeah, right. Instead of being mad all the time, because some of my favorite bands are bands we played with, like Disturbed and Five Finger. I mean, they're the maddest people on the planet. Just the power you get whenever you get to that level, I think we're so appreciative of our fans, man. We hang out with them at IHOP. We worship the ground that they walk on, because we don't get to do what we do if it's not for them. Yeah. So we treat fans a little differently. We'll drop everything we're doing for one autograph every time. And it's because somebody looks up to what you do. Somebody at some stage in life has wanted to do what you do on stage. Whether you're air jamming in the mirror, whether you're playing air guitar in your living room, at some point in everyone's life they wanted to be a musician. And I get to live that, and so I don't take that for granted for anything. When you see those people singing the words back to you and you've got cold chills on stage, and it brings tears to your eyes, and because you've connected with that crowd. After 20 years of touring, I've never forsaken any of that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do it if I was at Madison Square Garden. I still wouldn't. It would still mean that much to me. I think people get that success at an early age and they just piss it all away. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a god. Worship me. No, you're not. You put your pants on the same way I did this morning. But I'm total fanboy when I play with those guys. Yeah. Oh, you signed my CD?
Yeah.
Yeah. The last year at Oklahoma, man, I saw Kerry King and I lost my mind. Oh, I'm jumping off the media cart because we're going to go do an interview in the media tent, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Kerry King. I scared him. He's like, turns around like that. Man, dude, I'm so sorry. I am such a fan.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I am a total fanboy. Butcher Babies, hanging out with him, I was drooling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not hard to do.
Yeah.
Do you write all the lyrics?
I write most of them. I co-write a lot with our bass player. He's very much a literary guy. He spends a lot of time in books. I hate to read. I hate it with a passion, unless it's blurbs. If it's blurbs, blogs, magazine articles, things like that, I'm good with that. That's all I have the attention span for. But you put a book in my hands, and I'm just like, oh God, this is punishment. But he's very much an intellectual, and he will write. I'm so straightforward most of the time, but I can be influenced very easily if I'll read like something. Like he'll send me like a verse, and then I'll just explode and just immediately, like 10 minutes later, a song's done. But I have to be inspired. I can't write the way most people do. Most people will sit down and just write song after song after song after song. We were on tour way back in the day. I was in a band called Recycled Souls, and we were on tour with a guy called a band called Radial Angel. They're really good. Had a big song called She. And Jared, we were talking because we were sitting in the green room at a show, and I was like, so how many songs, do you have written for the next album? He goes, I have 1,300 songs written right now.
Wow.
I was like, no, you don't. Like that. And he's like, no, I'm serious. He goes, how many do you have written? I'm like, 6 in a year. I like that. And he's like, well, I said, I have to be inspired. Something has to inspire me to write. And that's another reason that this has taken so long, because I went through that writer's block where nothing inspired me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, if you just like try to do it every day instead of when it just comes to you.
Yeah, he said he would write as many as 10 songs in a day. I'm like, how is that? There's no substance behind that. He play the same 3 chords over and over and over like Garth Brooks, but at least he's got some substance behind what he's writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to be inspired, and I'll run on kicks to where I'll get really inspired, and I'll write a couple 3 sets of lyrics. And the funny thing is I don't have anything to base them on, so they're really almost kind of story form. Mm-hmm. And then I have to shape them and mold them to fit the music whenever I go into the studio. And be like, well, that's way too wordy. That's not going to work. How am I going to say this much and this much? And then you'll be like, well, that's not going to work, so let's go to the next set of lyrics and try that, or let's try that, or let's try that. I don't ever write any of the music. I can write decent music, but our guitar player comes in and shows me up. So I just forget it. I'm not going to do it. I play guitar, but I'm not a guitarist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm a singer who plays guitar. I'm like John Bon Jovi.
Like you said, you guys wrote the majority of this album in
All
a
of it.
room.
All of
Okay,
it.
all of it.
Yep.
So, was that the first time you guys had worked that way?
Yeah, it was. We went to Kyle and we said, we want. He said, I don't want you guys to come in here with a bunch of rehearsed, contrived stuff. I want it to be fresh. And what happened with They'll Never See It Coming is we had already been playing those songs live, for a while. So sometimes that's good because then the songs evolve. The problem with recording the way that we're recording right now is that when you play to clicks and you play to backing tracks like Periphery and everything's set up on a PC, there is no place for any type of improvisation on stage or the things. It is, you play it like the album, and that it's good in its sense because whenever you get up on stage and you play like that, you're so tight. I mean, it is, you cannot make a mistake. If you get the drummer gets off on the click, you're screwed for the rest of the song. It is, unless he can find it, so yeah, it's not as spontaneous as you would see, but almost everybody that's big does it that way now. But it fills your sound out, so much because we've got so many things working underneath what we do, everything from pad synths to alternate guitar parts to some really low embedded vocal stuff to, all those kinds of things. And it just enhances what you're doing. So it's been a difficult process because you just may have a riff and that riff may just sit there, and it doesn't inspire you until maybe one day in the studio you're like, play a riff again, and be like, and then you just start writing, so it's not rehearsed, which means it's not tired, it's fresh, but it's very hard to start piecing stuff together and find out, because you may write something brilliant for a verse and then you have no idea what you're going to do for the chorus. No clue, and you got to come back to it. And so it's an arduous process, but we're finding out it's well worth it. We're getting the best out of us that we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So is Oklahoma going to be the first time you guys play this stuff live, or do you have a show before then?
We have added Optimist and Ghost into the set. We've been playing those since Oklahoma last year.
Okay.
Optimist we've had tracked for a little while. We're going to add 2, possibly 3 new songs for Oklahoma that nobody has ever heard. I know for sure Mask is going to be in there. Mask is brilliant. It's a great song, and right now it's the best track on the album, hands down. I'll let you guys hear it here in a little bit. It's got some phasing issues. Don't record it, but I'll let you hear it just so I can get your thoughts on it. And then probably the other track, One, which is really, really good. Those 2 I know for sure will go in the set. The problem is that we do have enough of a fan base that people know what we're going to play, and you only have a certain amount of time to play. So it's like, what do we sacrifice? Do we sacrifice Down in Flames, which the crowd loves? Do we sacrifice At the Feet of Giants, which the crowd loves? Do we sacrifice When We Fall, which is our closing track that everybody wants to sing back to us? So you start going, I can't cut that, I can't cut that, I can't cut that. So now every song needs to be like a punk band, and it's only like 2 minutes. We're just going to play parts of each song so we can play them all.
There you go. Like Metallica in the 90s, they used to do medleys when they went up.
Yeah, either that or we turn it into a Pink Floyd show. We play for 6 hours. So.
Well, do you have, you said this summer, hopefully.
We're looking at hopefully right now, tentatively July,
Okay.
When Rebirth comes out. And, a lot of that's going to be dependent. Realistically, in order to hit that and do all the promotion that we need to do for it, we're really going to have to finish tracking by mid-May for production, mastering, and hype. The new website will come out probably about mid-April. It'll just be etdband.com. I had eventhedogs.com for 8 years, and I let it lapse. I'd switched credit cards, and I forgot, and I let it lapse, and some private domain guy snatched it up and wants $3,000 for it. I called GoDaddy. I'm like, are you serious? I've had this for 8 years and somebody wants $3,000 for it. I'm like, it's a private domain holder. So we're going to switch it to etdband.com.
Cool.
So I can't afford $3,000 for a stupid domain.
Yeah.
You know, as bad as I want it, I don't want it that bad. So,
Were you putting out physical product and everything?
yeah, we're going to release it on vinyl too.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to release it on vinyl. That's going to be limited edition. We're going to have a limited edition VIP. It's $200, so it's definitely going to be very VIP. Motorcycle vest, even the dog's motorcycle vest. It will have your name on it, and then it will say fan, and then it will have like a subdued American flag, the gray scale American flag with one green stripe, and then it will say even the dogs. Then the back rockers say even the dogs, Tulsa OK Metal, and then the center patch is 2 arrows like this. It says ETD with the Oklahoma symbol in it.
Awesome.
So $200.
Yeah.
It can be yours, custom done. You know, I'll be wearing the prototype on stage at Rocklahoma. Even though we're not really a biker style band, I just love the Black Label Society take on that.
Yeah.
And I took it to Unique Stitches and showed her the vest. She's putting it all together for me, and she goes, "This is ridiculous." She goes, "This is amazing." So I think, and I showed the prototype to a couple buddies of mine that are big metal fans, and they were like, "I'm buying it. I want one right now." I'm like, "You can't have it right now. I've got to get everything set up. You can't have it yet." But it will be out there. It'll be $200, and it'll be your size, your custom vest. You know, and so it's a pretty cool deal. But only the diehard fans will get it.
Yeah.
You know, I can't see anybody walking up to the merch table going, "Hey, can I get one of those motorcycle vests?" They can't. They're like, "Really? You want $20 for a T-shirt?" Yes.
So you're putting out vinyl and CDs?
Vinyl CD, everything, of course, is on all the digital online stores already. It's everywhere you can get it. I think we're in 31 online digital music stores. Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Spotify, or everything. I mean, everything. Tidal, Xbox Music, Sony Music, you name it, it's out there.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of TuneCore for independent bands.
Yeah.
Your distribution's outstanding.
That's great.
Yep. So but we will have physical, and I'm more excited about I'm a vinyl junkie.
Yeah.
So I'm more excited about getting the vinyl really for me than anybody else. Trying to decide if we're going to do, like, since it's Rebirth, we're going to do like a white vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just to make it, you know, kind of cool, or a baby blue vinyl or something.
Yeah.
We don't know yet, but that's still in the works. But we do know we've already got it set up to where we can get vinyl ordered. So we're going to only run probably 100 limited edition vinyl. When they're gone, they're gone. So.
Well, going way back, how did Even the Dogs form?
Even the Dogs formed from. Myself, David, who's a bass player, and Anthony Hinton, and Anthony Hinton were in a band together called Recycled Souls. We were a pretty big regional touring band. Pretty much anybody who was going to come through Tulsa, we were going to open for them. We had a lot of success. Even the Dogs had run the gamut. Recycled Souls had run the gamut. It was time to lay it down gracefully. You know, we went through 3 bassists, 3 guitarists. It was this constant reinvention in 6 years' time, and we just got tired. And I said, let's do something new. So when we went to put Even the Dogs together, us 3 didn't want to break up. We wanted to stay a band, but we knew if we did that, there was going to be this stigma that we were going to be Recycled Souls reinvented, you know, or Recycled Souls .2, you know, and we didn't want to be that. So when we released everything about the announcement for Even the Dogs, we did not claim any names. It was ETD1 on vocal, ETD2 on drums, ETD3 on bass. And we picked up a guitarist that actually came and auditioned for Recycled Souls, but he wasn't a lead player per se. He was a great rhythm player, very much like Max Cavalera from Sepultura. Phenomenal rhythm player. He's not a lead guitarist. He just brought some really unique stuff. The funny thing is my heart, Even the Dogs, was going to be more of just kind of like a Third Day, kind of just straight ahead acoustic driven rock band. That did not happen at all. And, you know, because I'd sold all my gear. I was the rhythm guitarist for Recycled Souls, and I had sold all my rigs and, you know, my metal guitars and my half stacks and all this, and I went and bought these really nice, like a Line 6 Veta at the time, and was just, man, I was ready. Acoustic stuff, here it comes. I'm just going to get to sing. And then in steps Jerry Rivera, little Puerto Rican guy who had played with the band Seven Wounds and a couple other big bands around town, pretty decent Tulsa bands. Dude, metalhead through and through. He goes, hey man, check out these riffs. What do you think about these riffs? And they were just brutal. I was like, oh, I love it. I want to do that. So Even the Dogs formed because of we all knew each other through different regional bands. Then we came out and we decided to be metal. And then it became, that was during the big grindcore phase. And we would get paired with all these grindcore bands and just get our butts handed to us every single show because the grindcore scene was so fickle. And we were just straight ahead, watered down Killswitch. You know, watered down Seven Dust at the time. We were still trying to find our way and find our sound. We'd walk in there and these guys are in their gym shorts and flip-flops and they hadn't showered in 6 months and didn't even, half the time they didn't even have all the strings on their guitars and had a keyboard player, and people would lose their freaking minds for these grindcore bands. We'd chase everybody out of the menu. Well, they'd leave while we were playing. And then something clicked one day and we found that sound and that grindcore thing started to die down a little bit, and you started to see a little more melodic metal rotate in, bands like All That Remains, and Killswitch started taking a lot of traction, and Five Finger Death Punch, and you know all these guys, and then we fit. Yeah. We just fit. So we started playing that scene, and it did real well for us, and we opened for Brian Head Welch. Came back after getting our butts handed to us at Cornerstone. We had showcased for EMI Records and spent a lot of money to go, and we sat down for artist development, and they said, we don't know what you guys are expecting. So, well, we kind of expected to talk about whether or not you think we would fit at EMI. No, it doesn't happen anymore. We don't sign people at this. We just wanted to get you guys $500 just to pay for the stage, you know, and all the bands that are on here. So, you know, go out, go do grassroots, go live in people's living room floors, and 200 or 300 shows a year, and it'll happen for you, but we don't sign people at shows. So we came back and we thought, you know what, are we going to continue doing this, you know, or are we going to, you know, just because we love it, or we done? You know, I'm tired of the industry telling us one thing and doing another. And we went out to a place called In the Field Festival, and Brian Head Welch was there, and we were told at the time that we were going to open for him in direct support. We get stuck in the middle of the day, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 96 degrees outside. It's humid as all get out because it had been raining half the day, and everybody is sitting in the stands. It's about 4,000 people there, but they're all sitting in the stands like 100 yards away from the stage. Wow. By the end of our set, all 4,000 people were in front of the stage and singing and shouting the lyrics of the song back to us. Our guitar player sets his guitar down and walks over and starts throwing up from heat exhaustion. We sold out of every piece of merchandise we had that day. We're throwing stuff in the trailer. We're exhausted because we played in Stillwater the night before, didn't get home till 3 a.m., had to be in the field festival by 8 a.m., so we're tired. This guy walks up to me. He said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." He said, "You guys signed?" We had just gotten told at Cornerstone this doesn't happen. So the only time in my life that I have ever been cynical, and I turned around and said, "Look, man, I don't mean any disrespect. I'm tired. I'm hot. I'm fed up, and I want to go home." I said, "So we appreciate the fact that this isn't my first rodeo. Don't talk to me about being signed. That crap doesn't happen to anybody." Turn around, throw the stuff in the van. And he said, "You ever heard of the band Iron Maiden?" I turned around and said, "I'm listening." He said, "Well, I've worked with them and I've worked with these guys, and I represent Brian Head Welch, and I own Driven Music Group, and our distribution is through ADA Warner, and I'm going to tell you, Eddie," he said, "that was the most flawless set I've ever seen a band play." And he said, "And I've seen a lot of bands. We'd like to offer you a record deal."
Wow.
I was like, whatever. So we go back and I go tell the guys, and now the buzz is getting around the festival that we've been approached about being signed, and we're still trying to wrap our head around it. And he walks over to me and puts his hand on my shoulder and he said, "This is real." He said, 2 weeks, you will have a contract in your email. I said, okay. 2 weeks to the dot. There was a contract in the email from Driven Music Group. We opened for Brian several times, and we signed that deal. It was a 3-album deal. We ended up walking away after one because there were some breach of contract issues, and it wasn't Brian's fault. Brian is an amazing guy, and I would still consider him a friend. He was just partnered with some people he shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
They took advantage of the bands that were there, people like Flotsam and Jetsam, and some other people like that. And we got them on breach, and we walked away and recorded They'll Never See It Coming. Now, during this time, we had lost our guitarist of 6 years. His heart was broken that we weren't rock stars and that we weren't going to be 100% supporting ourselves because of music. And so we went through the hunt and we found our guitarist that we have. We decided to go from a 4-piece to a 5-piece. We said we need that diversity. We need 2 guitarists on stage. Picked up Christian, actually played with his father, who is probably one of the best bass players in the state of Oklahoma. Yeah. And so I got to play with a 2nd-generation Connor, which was really cool. And we picked up Blaine, and Blaine brought the dynamic that we are now. And so we released They'll Never See It Coming. All 5 singles charted on internet radio, including At the Feet of Giants was #1 for 6 weeks. Very critically acclaimed. Lots of critical acclaim all over the country. And we started doing bigger festivals like Midwest Rock Fest, Sunshine, Cornerstone, Rocklahoma, started doing things like that. So as an independent band, we had found our way, So we could still have our careers and be career guys, husbands, and have mortgages and lives and kids and families. And then on the weekends, we get to go live the dream, So there was that good balance that was there. So that's kind of the full story of Even the Dogs. It was really a 6-year evolution into where we are right now. And I think right now we are better than we've ever been. So we're writing better music. We're tighter friends. We're more cohesive as a unit on stage. And we have only had the guitar positions turned over 3 times, but the drum position only turned over once. Anthony left and went on to Screaming Red Mutiny. Okay. And he was with the Joint Effect for a little while, and we brought in Breezy Robinson from Zero Theist and Greater Than Zero and a couple other pretty big bands out of the Oklahoma City area. He's solid, good drummer.
Yeah.
And he's black, so we got to keep the black drummer thing. We're an equal opportunity employer.
So after Rebirth comes out, are you guys looking to
we'll tour hard. Yeah, we're going to tour hard behind it. The thing is that we're kind of missing that window, and that's what kind of sucks. It would have been good to have Rebirth done and out by winter, because that's whenever you pick up your summer tour dates. Summer is when you really tour. It's when you should be booked right now for all the big festivals that are coming up. So we're probably going to miss that, but I think we're going to ride the wave of Rebirth into the 2017 tour season. Okay. And, I think because realistically, and what we're probably going to do to follow up Rebirth is we're getting a lot of requests to do an acoustic EP, to do an unplugged EP. And we've done a few acoustic sets as of late, and they've been extremely well received. We just did one last weekend. Okay. And they were like, when are you going to release this? So I think we will either take and release like Rebirth version 2 with like an alternate album cover, and it'll be all acoustic, or we're going to go back and pick the songs we really like and do them as an EP for acoustic. But we'll probably release a full length and an acoustic EP, and then try to probably do EPs like once every 6 months so that we can keep music in people's face. Yeah. Because realistically, the full lengths, they take too long, too time consuming, especially when you don't write any more than what we do. We're not on a tour bus. We're not trapped on a bus where we have nothing else to do but write or do drugs, and we don't do drugs. So it's not like we can, I'm not getting the Lane Staley influences or the Scott Weilands or any of those kinds of things. Be like, let me do heroin. I can write a lot of stuff. even though they're two massive influences for me. You know, we don't have those luxuries of, you know, we're spread out, so we don't get to write. When we get together, we've got to rehearse for shows.
Yeah.
You know, so we don't ever really get writing sessions, so to speak.
How was it difficult to strip those songs down the first time or arrange them acoustically? First time you did it?
Yeah, it was. The funny thing was we did them pretty much improv. We didn't rehearse them. Yeah,
Seriously?
no, we didn't. I found the melody lines and all that because, you know, you're taking and transposing screaming parts to vocal parts. And I'm telling you, man, I had to buckle my seatbelt because there were some things, even though we're playing the integrity of the songs right now when we do them for acoustic sets are still pretty much the same. They're just played acoustically. When we record them, we're going to completely change the arrangement on them.
That's
I mean,
cool.
yeah, so they will be legitimate alternate versions of them. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, to really getting in and rearranging the songs. Maybe even taking and doing some key changes in there because, you know, we play in either drop B or drop C. Well, if you're playing acoustically in drop B, you lose all your melody. It sounds like you're playing on slinky strings, you know. So we will transpose those up to C or even D whenever we do them acoustically, so that you can get some semblance of melody, you know, in there to be able to do it. Because if not, you're barring drop B on an acoustic and every chord sounds the exact same, you know, so you sound like you're droning is all you're doing. It's like, oh, I know he's switched, you know, and he's went up the neck and it all sounds the exact same. So our bass player is a pretty accomplished acoustic player, and he does some really cool alternate renditions of our stuff. We just didn't have time to do them for the acoustic shows, but I said, remember that stuff so that we can record it that way, because I like it. It'll shock people because they won't be expecting it. It'll go completely stone sour and be just completely opposite of what the electric versions are.
I saw recently you guys did a show at Street School.
Yeah.
Like what is that exactly? Or how did that come about?
Street School, my career, what I do is I'm a director of business development for disaster restoration. So I've been out all day on this tornado stuff. But I do really big commercial relationships. Well, part of that is I'm in these networking groups and all this, and I met Kelly Painter, who is the assistant general manager of Cox Business Center. Well, that's Cox Business Center and BOK Center is a relationship of mine for disaster stuff. Kelly was talking, we were talking, and I just somehow got talking about the band. And really, we have a heart for youth. We have a heart for, like I said, this doom and gloom genre. These kids right now, metal is really underground. Right now, it's with the exception of a few bands, you know, like Avenged Sevenfold and Five Finger and Disturbed, that are getting some mainstream radio play. But for the most part, metal's kind of went back down underground. And these kids now have become where they were on top of the world when metal was a big thing with, you know, Slipknot and everybody. Now it's back underground and they're outcasts again. So we really embrace the youth. That's why we take the role model aspect of what we do so seriously and try to be that positive influence. Like one of our songs, Personal Hell, is about domestic violence, you know, written through the eyes of a child. We have a very staunch stance on domestic violence. We're very big on anti-domestic violence. And I got approached Kelly. I was telling this all to Kelly, and Kelly goes, you know, she goes, I'm plugged in with Street School. She goes, I think you should go be a mentor at Street School. She goes, you're a successful professional. You're tattooed, engaged, and all this stuff, and really break the molds of that, and you still get to go do things like Oklahoma and play these big shows, play with these signed bands, these big signed bands. And I said, I'd love to, because I have boys, you know, and through all of this crazy musical life that I've had, I've never forsaken my family. Not once. My family has always been first, and that was one of the discussions we had with the label. Yeah. They wanted to put us on the road for 300 shows a year. And I said, absolutely not. I will not be away from my family. They need a dad. My wife needs a husband. We will do this many shows a year, and we'll do them on our terms, or again, I don't need you, you know. And they were good with that. They loved the fact that we were so family driven. So, you know, I told this all to Kelly, and we went and we met with Street School, and I met with a lady by the name of Jana Emerson, and she said, so you got a band? And I was like, yeah, and started telling her about the band. And she's like, God, wouldn't it be crazy if you could come play for our kids? I'm like, seriously? She's like, oh, you wouldn't do anything like that, would you? I'm like, we would be here with bells on to do that. Street school are kids that are troubled. They either were not allowed to be back in public or private school sector. Parents could be potentially addicted to drugs or alcohol, or they're in prison. But these kids want to be in school to better their lives. But they can't go back to traditional school systems. So they created street school. And there have been very big, high influential people that have come from street school. So these kids want to be there. It's not like they're forced to go to street school and, so you're dealing with all these indigent kids. That's not what it is. So I said, well, what if we come in and we play? And I said, now, are you sure you really want us to do this? And I put our phone out there. I'm like, because this is what we sound like. And I think we're going to incite a riot is what's going to happen. And because they'd always had people like flamenco guitarists or, gospel singers or things like that. I'm like, you've never had a metal show at street school. And I'm telling you, we are an intense band to see live. I don't know if you want to go this route. And she goes, no, we do. These kids love that stuff. She goes, so what would you talk about? And we got up there and we did our show. And to see those kids' faces, and they just lined up to come talk to us when we were done and wanted to know about our lives. And, because our whole message was, don't let your past dictate your future. Yeah. Don't buy into the excuses and what everybody tells you are. The control starts with you, and you have control. I signed my record deal at 40 years old when everybody told me, you can't. I have a wife, I have 3 kids, I have a mortgage and a career. The record companies don't want you. And I proved them all wrong. And I'm still doing it at 47. I'm still doing this, even though the guys in my band are in my 20s, they keep me young. I just feel it the next day, whatever. But, I don't buy into that. I can't crap. I just don't. You can do anything you set your mind to. So that was really our message that we told these kids. It'd be like, change starts with you. You're worth it. You are worth it. And man, you should have just seen these kids' faces. Yeah. It was incredible because we took time out of what we do for them. And they just were, Jana was just in awe of the way we connected with those kids. And, that's really what it's about. We can play these big shows and play in front of thousands. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've been on both sides of the fence. Anybody can walk out onto a stage in front of 10,000 people and go, how you doing, Tulsa? And everybody goes freaking nuts. You walk out and do that crap in front of 20. Then you have to be an entertainer. Then you have to know how to work a crowd and manipulate a crowd and engage a crowd. So, it's I get more out of playing those little shows than I do the big shows. Now, don't get me wrong. I need to play the big shows. That's got to happen. I have to play the big shows because there is something that is just surreal about being able to walk out there and have 10,000 people in the palm of your hand. Yeah. That's a whole different ball game. But it definitely makes you appreciate those big shows when you walk out in front of 20. Yeah. And be like, how you doing, Tulsa? Yeah. Or how you doing, Kansas City? Play some Freebird. Shut up.
There's always going to be one guy that says that, too.
Every show.
Yep.
Every show.
Yep. You're like, oh, God, here we go.
Random note, did you see, just a couple days ago, Metal Injection, one of those things, posted a clip of Slayer playing Freebird in the soundcheck?
Are you serious?
They said, the 2 most common things people scream at shows are Freebird or Slayer. And Slayer didn't make the world implode when they actually played Freebird. But
my bass player's favorite thing to vocal warm whenever we're doing sound checks on the mics is to sing "Let It Go." Or do you want to build a snowman? That's what he always does. And he's a backup screamer. He doesn't sing. So the crazy thing is that whenever we do those checks, in my ears, he's all nice and fine, and then the show starts, and I've got to dial him down because he's screaming. I'm like, do it full voice. So one day, he walked up to the mic. He's like, do you want to build a snowman?
Well, as yourself or as a band, who are some of you guys' influences or your favorites that you got to listen to every time?
Oh God, I hate to say it, but I mean, me personally, it's Killswitch.
Yeah.
It's Killswitch Engage. My vocal influences are a dead mix between Howard and Jesse, And LaJean Witherspoon from Seven Dust. I love that soulful sound that man has. I think he's always been all the way back to Black, and the first album has been a massive influence vocally on me. And I'm a huge writing and vocal fan of Corey Taylor. He's, to me, probably the top of the game and top of the food chain when it comes to what a metal vocalist can be. The versatility that he has and the writing that this guy does is it's poetic and it's incredible. Our bass player airs more towards, and he'll hate me for this, airs more towards like Fall Out Boy, Rise Against, more of the pop punk punkish style of things. Our lead guitarist is influenced real heavily by blues and rock and even some country, but also to the periphery and more of the technical side of metal. Our drummer's all over the place, and then our rhythm guitarist Christian Connor is influenced by bands I've never heard of. He introduces me to more new music than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. He will bring out his vinyl and be like, I don't even know who that is. And so, but very eclectic, kind of like the bands you'd go see at Sound Pony or the Yeti or, those kinds of things. He's the most intense performer of us all. He holds down the right side of the stage like nobody's business. I have to watch for him because he's going to kill me with his guitar. Never seen anybody, because he's so quiet and so reserved, and you meet him and you're like, hey Christian, how you doing? You're on an interview and he's like, hi. And on stage he's a monster. An absolute monster, like total Jekyll and Hyde. So, but yeah, his bands that he listens to, God, I can't even pull them out. I have no idea. They're just all over the place. I mean, very eclectic and all that. But now when it comes to listening, I listen to everything. I'm influenced by everything. And my favorite genre of music's Motown, hands down. We'll be out on tour and we'll pull up and I'll be jamming Motown. People don't get it. They just don't get it. But back then is when music, you did it in one take. You had to do it right. It was music you could feel. It was music that was emotive, and it was raw, and stuff like even all the way up to stuff like old Stevie Ray Vaughan and things like that, where you could hear the emotion and the passion that they were putting. Like his rendition of Hendrix's Voodoo Child is one of my go-tos, one of the greatest musical prowess situations I've ever heard. To watch that BBC performance of him doing that, or Austin City Limits performance of him doing Voodoo Child, is mind-boggling. And I think that you're starting to see a little bit of that come back, but for the most part, music has lost that. It is production and moneymaker, and you just don't hear the passion and the just the all-out just emotion being poured into music hardly anymore. And we're trying to bring a little bit of that back. And to be real honest with you, the two people that I think that are the best at it in metal right now are Jesse and Corey. Yeah. Jesse's writing is stellar and Corey's writing is stellar. So I am moved by the things they write. Yeah. And you don't find that a lot in our genre, unfortunately. No. Find great musicians and absolutely mind-blowing musicianship, but you just don't find that. Just those songs that just jerk your heart out and throw it on the table and beat it with a hammer and hand it back to you in a bloody mess, and you're sitting there with big tears streaming down your face going, my God, they just pulled every heartstring I had. And you can do that in metal, and people don't realize that. Yeah. But Corey and Jesse are masters at it.
Yeah. What do you think of Incarnate from Killswitch?
I'm going to tell you right now that Hate by Design is one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. I heard that track. I think, again, I will defer, as much as I'm a fan of Howard Jones, just mainly because I've seen him so many times live, and to hear that guy is stronger at the end of the set than he was to start the set, and that rich tone that he has, that big, massive, rich, soulful tone in his voice, biggest vocal influence hands down for me. But when it comes to writing, Jesse is just, in my opinion, is the greatest writer in metal. The stuff, his lyrical content is just incredible. And Hate by Design was it sounded like something we would have written, and so Hate by Design is one of my all-time favorite Killswitch songs, period. hands down, and it's the album as a whole I think is pretty good. I have to listen to something over and over and over before I'm just totally bought in, you know. Yeah. And I've only listened to Incarnate maybe 10 times so far, you know, mainly when I'm working out, so it's more kind of just background music. But I think it's good. Right now I don't know that I would say it's as good as the last album, but I think it's close.
That's kind of what I hear from most people.
Yeah.
You know, the last album was stellar.
Yeah.
Like, I really was very skeptical about Jesse coming back. But I'm a huge Times of Grace fan. Loved what he did with Adam on that. Thought that was brilliant. Yeah. And I was a little skeptical because I was such a Howard fan. And, you know, I didn't consider Jesse as strong of a vocalist as Howard. Man, he flat proved it wrong with the last album they did. It was exceptional.
Yeah. Maybe he needed some of that time off to, you know, mature in whatever way, you know.
Yeah, because I'm not hearing a lot from Howard's group.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're out there, they're doing stuff, but I don't hear a lot from them. You know.
Do you like it?
Yeah, but I'm biased. I'm always going to be a fan of him, you know. Right. So I'm going to follow him. I was a fan of his with Blood Has Been Shed, and then I was a fan of his with this. I mean, he brought his drummer from Blood Has Been Shed into Killswitch, and then he stayed. And Howard's gone, you know, and Howard struggled with whatever he had to struggle with, and you know, now he's back doing what he does, and I like it. Do I listen to it very often? Not really. I'm actually right now the metal stuff I'm off deep into is super heavy. You know, it's everything from Whitechapel Within the Ruins, even Attila, you know, and just some crazy technical stuff right now. The new Periphery album is unfreaking believable. You know, so I like the more technical side of it, the math metal side of it right now. I'm digging that because, you know, it's challenging. You know, it challenges you to sit there and go, I do not understand how they just did what they just did. Animals as leaders, you know, bands like that. Oh,
yeah, that guy's nuts, man.
Yeah.
That stuff is crazy.
Yeah, it is. Protest the Hero, you know, all that is just absolutely. But Whitechapel I've been off deep into them for a little while. They're so good. That is just brutality at its best. Love it. I love his vocal, love their writing style. Yeah. Just Saws the Laws. Oh, wow. God, what an album. What an album.
Nice. Right on.
Well, when you're young, was Motown the first thing that got you into music?
Nope. Kiss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. I sat on the bedroom floor with my best friend and his older brother had Destroyer on vinyl. And I was 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old, and he goes, look at this. And I was like, oh my God. I was just blown away. Kiss is still my all-time favorite band. Not because they're musical juggernauts, you know, but from a marketing standpoint, they're the most iconic band in the history of music.
Yeah.
Kiss literally can live forever. You know, there's been shows that Gene wasn't on stage and his bass tech was, and there's no reason that they can't continue that iconic deal forever. I mean, it can be immortal.
He claims it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, they have plans to. Yeah,
and I've seen them, and I've seen them multiple times, and I tell you what, their show rivals anybody. Yeah. You know, and for guys that are in their 60s, I mean, you know, there's still guys that are still doing it well. You know, the Rolling Stones and Kiss, and even Rob Halford. You know, his new album with Judas Priest is outstanding. Yeah. It's very reminiscent of, you know, shades of British Steel and Screaming for Vengeance and, you know, things like that. But Kiss was who did it for me, and I followed them, and it was really more the look than anything else. And then whenever I started playing music, it was the 80s metal stuff. You know, I'll never forget first time I heard Round and Round by Rad on the radio and was like, this is not your dad's music. You know, Quiet Riot and the Scorpions, and went to every show that come to Tulsa, and, you know, David Lee Roth and Cinderella, and just went off deep into all that stuff. And then I found the heavier side of life with bands like Sepultura, Malevolent Creation, and, you know, things like that. So I've kind of run the gamut, Death Angel, and, you know, got into the heavier side of things. And that's just kind of, I just love music. Love it. There's even country. You know, yeah. I can listen to it. I don't listen to it on a regular basis, but I can listen to it.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, take your time. Oh. Mine, his spot. I parked a motorcycle out there. Okay. So what about you guys? I see this Iced Earth and Hate Breed. And,
yeah.
Like, what are you into?
I'm like I don't know. I started out kind of like you with all the hair bands and stuff, and then found Metallica and stuff. I'm a big 4 guy, and then I'm real classic metal. I love Merciful Fate, Saxon, Priest, Maiden. Those are like my main.
Saxon, man, you pulled that one out.
Oh, man.
You don't hear many people talk about Saxon anymore.
And the thing is I have to admittedly tell you, I didn't even really get real familiar with them until maybe 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I did, I was like, where have I been for the last 20 years?
So did you go to Maiden?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was epic. That was to see that guy run around that stage and hit the notes that he hit. Floored me. I mean, I never heard him hit a bad note.
Yeah.
I was sitting in section 122, and I was only about 10 rows up, and had I could not stop snapping pictures. It was mind-blowing how good they were.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, I didn't get my tickets till late. I got very back row, way up there, and I was up against the wall, and it was still amazing.
Yeah, their
it just
visual representation
it was
was
just
so
insane.
good. They're changing all the backdrops, and I was taking pictures. Oh, there's a new one. I'm taking pictures of all that stuff. It was really, they do it at a level that I'm just so glad they chose Tulsa.
Oh yeah,
so glad. And then I hear GNR is going to skip. They're going to go to Dallas and Kansas City and St. Louis. They're not coming to Tulsa.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I think they're just doing football stadiums.
Well, I heard there's a good possibility that Axl is going to step in for Brian Johnson to finish out the AC/DC thing.
That's a big rumor, too.
Because Brian was told he's going to go deaf. I could go do Brian Johnson. I can do AC/DC. The best of them, man. It would be so fun. I would have so much fun because that is one of the most iconic bands in the history of music. He is a riff master. Yeah. We love him or hate him. Even rednecks like freaking AC/DC. I mean, they're doing something right. But no, I agree with you. It is. I cut my teeth on that style of metal, and Metallica, Megadeth. I never was a really too big Merciful Fate fan or King Diamond fan. Never got into Venom, and that kind of stuff. But I was really more geared towards the '80s, style, the glam metal type stuff. I loved it. All of it.
We're still huge hair band fans, and we're not even ashamed of it.
Yeah, mine were like the more obscure stuff. The bands to me that came out at the end, right as grunge was coming in, were the best.
Yeah,
bands like Hurricane Alice, Slick Toxic, Cry Wolf. All these Blue Murder, they came out right there at the end. They were the best of the bands. And I was like, Heaven's Edge and, all these guys. I was
Sleazebees.
Sleazebees. Yeah, I'm like, seriously? You guys come out now? You would have kicked the crap out of Poison, Motley Crue. Yeah. One of my favorite bands ever was Wildside. And Hardline was freaking unbelievable. Wore that album out many times over. But all those bands were just the best of the best, and they got no exposure. Yeah. I actually have a playlist on YouTube called Hair Metal Came Too Late. And it's all those bands.
That's awesome.
And it's my favorite of all the music, of all that era. It's my favorite because they came out right as Nirvana was starting to break.
Well, and then look at South Gang, and then look at Butch Walker now.
What's he do now?
He's like he had Marvel's 3. He writes for all these all the big pop Pink and all those and all this kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, and he does a lot of solo stuff, which is not.
I've forgotten about South King. Taiketo.
Oh, Taiketo.
Yeah. I hung out with Danny Vaughn whenever he came to Tulsa, and he was telling me, I'm like, what are you, like 24? He goes, dude, I'm 37. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, but we don't tell anybody that. But yeah, Taiketo was
for Nelson or something.
Yep, that was it. Yeah, it was Firehouse, Taiketo, and Nelson.
Oh man, yep. Firehouse, I love Firehouse.
Yeah,
man,
it was all those bands, man, that were just exceptional, and they just too little, too late.
Yeah. Steelheart.
Yep, that's another one.
Steelheart, yeah. Michael Matajerek was total stud, absolute total stud. I'll never forget. I was in a hotel room first time I heard I'll Never Let You Go. I saw the music video on Headbangers Ball, and he leans back in that hair, and he's hitting that last note, and I am just like, oh my God. It was like, because, Mark Slaughter loved him with Vinnie Vincent Invasion, him and Dana Strum, but loved Slaughter. but there was something about him vocally that I knew he couldn't do it live. You know, I was like, I know, but I knew Michael could. You know, and I saw Steelheart, and he was hitting note for note. Now, when he came to Oklahoma, he was not on his A game at all. But in the day, God, and then he came out with the Rockstar stuff on the Rockstar soundtrack, and that was outstanding.
Yeah, that stuff was awesome.
Yep. So that was but I'm right there with you when it comes to all that. That's my favorite style of music, hands down.
Definitely. So real quick, I've noticed on your Facebook, looks just like his. You guys are huge Broncos fans, huge Sooner fans. Go get it over with.
Yep.
You know?
I was a Broncos fan back when it was a Lynch Crush defense, and they lost the 4 Super Bowls that they lost. I've been a fan since then. When Kubiak was the quarterback, Craig Morton, Gary Kubiak, Carl Mecklenburg, way back in the day. Then I bought the Broncos back-to-back Super Bowl championship commemorative leather jacket from Wilson's. I have it as blue leather. I have that. But I earned my Bronco fandom, and I've been a Sooners fan since I was a kid. But when I went to the University of Oklahoma, it was during Gibbs, Blake, and Schnellenberger. So I was a student sitting in the student section going, you have got to freaking be kidding me. This is not what I signed up for. But I went to school with Cale Gundy and Milton Overton and Aubrey Beavers and all these guys, and they were terrible. So, but my oldest son, is a soccer player for the University of Oklahoma. Awesome. He's a junior up there, and he's going to school. And like father, like son, he went to OU, and I just got my season tickets this year. Nice. So, I was sitting by a guy that was he was going to sell me his 2. He had older children. He's an attorney, and I bought a pair of tickets from him off Craigslist. And we got to talking, and we hit it off. And he goes, "Well, I've got 2 extra season tickets. Do you want them? I'll just sell them to you." I was like, "Oh yeah, I love the seats, love the company. You're a great guy. He's a huge OU fan. He wants to talk football. He don't want to sit there and talk about stupid stuff. I am fanatical about Oklahoma football. Do not talk to me about anything but football if it's an Oklahoma game. I'm gonna tell you right now, I will throw you out of my house. And it is, and he goes, but the only thing is you can't have the Ohio State tickets because my kids want those. And I'm like, well, I don't want your tickets then. That's the only. So, and then fortunately I came up. I'd been on the list for like 8 years. Yeah. And they called me up and said, hey, we have season tickets. How many do you want? And I was like, I'll do 2. And so I'll have those. I picked my seats in May, and finally a season ticket holder, and ecstatic.
That's awesome.
Nothing greater than being down there on a Saturday in life. I'll even trump being on stage for that. That is just the greatest environment in the history of mankind. But I earned I'm an alum, and I earned my Sooner fandom. I'm not a bandwagon fan, like a lot of people are, and I desperately despise Oklahoma State. So, nice. Yeah, I can't. I know that's a bad thing. Ironically, my lead guitarist, his wife, my bass player, and his wife all went to OSU.
God, crap.
I know, right? Bedlam is a blast. So, because I am outnumbered in my own house whenever Bedlam happens. So what about you? Broncos fan for how long?
Since I can probably 86, 87, whenever, I was like when I started getting football when I was like 10. Mm-hmm. And I assume, I can't really pinpoint it, but I assume it's probably because they were going to the Super Bowl. How kids are. Yeah. You don't have a favorite team because there's not one in your town. It's just whoever's good.
Yeah, and I refuse to like Dallas. So I just refuse. Because when I was a little kid, I was a Steeler fan. So, and then Bradshaw, all the Mean Joe Green, all those guys. Yeah.
My dad's been a Dallas fan since they started.
Yeah.
60 or whenever that was.
My dad forbade it. So I couldn't be a Dallas fan. It's like, you will not be a Cowboy fan and live in this house. When you're like 5, that hits home. I don't know where I'm going to live. You're packing your Ninja Turtles bag so that you can. And then Sooner, same way?
Yeah.
Just since you were a kid?
Yeah. That was kind of off and on. I wasn't ever diehard when I was a kid. But kind of when I got in my teens and got more into college football. Kind of did, and then I went there, and I was there during the John Blake years.
Okay, so we were there kind of same time.
Yeah.
It was what year did you get out?
I was
95.
From 96 to 99.
Okay.
and then I transferred to OSU.
Oh my God! You transferred to OSU national championship year, didn't
Yeah.
you? Oh no!
It was Stoop's first year.
Oh, was it?
So,
Yeah. Well, they
and then-
won 2000.
And then the next year he won, yeah.
Okay, I was like, oh my God, man, that's like blasphemous, dude. That's
But I walked around OSU campus wearing OU stuff. And
there you
it's
go. At least
awesome.
you're
Yeah.
representing. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, because we used to play shows in these little bars and stuff in Stillwater and stuff all the time, and I'd be like, we're playing Stillwater and wear my OU hat on stage.
Yeah.
Everybody like, don't do. My bass player's like, don't do that, man. I got to go to school here. I'm like, that's your fault.
That's great. Love it.
Are you a sports fan?
I'm not as into it. I'm a big baseball fan.
Oh yeah. Well, then it's coming into your time of
Yeah.
year.
Oh yeah. Astros. I've loved the Astros forever. Not just now that they're good again.
Well, my very first professional sporting event, you'll love this, that I ever got to attend was last summer. Never attended a professional event. I swore I will never go. Now, here's the deal. My ex-guitar player from my cover band is the primary orthotics guy and brace builder for the Chiefs.
Wow.
So he's like, you can have tickets to any game you want. Just call me. And I've never went up there and seen the Broncos play. And here's why. Because I refuse to see the Broncos for the first time until I see them at Inverness Field.
There
Yeah.
you go.
And so I never went to a professional sporting event. I haven't went and seen the Thunder, any of that. But my first professional event was the Cubs at Wrigley Field last summer.
Wow. That's awesome.
It was to hear the seventh inning stretch,
Yeah.
to do all that. It was really, and I'm not a baseball fan.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's I appreciate it, but I'm just baseball to me. It's just too slow for me. You know, it's like watching golf for me.
Yeah.
And I want to watch the highlights. And that's it. Kind of like NASCAR. I just want to watch a wreck.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it was exciting
Yeah.
to be there and to be in that environment. And I was in a suite, with our company, and it was a lot of fun to be at that legendary field. And
Yeah, it's a great vibe.
yeah, so I dug it. It was really cool. So that's the one and only professional sporting event I've ever been to.
Nice.
Everything else has been collegiate.
Well,
Yeah,
cool,
I saw
man.
the Broncos once at Mile High.
Oh wow!
I've been there 3 or 4 times, but
Seen games?
yeah.
Nice.
But, I mean, the old Mile High, I only got to go once. But
Well, we drove by. We were on tour, and we were up in Denver on tour, and I drove by the field. I didn't get to stop or go in, but I drove by it, and I was in heaven. I was like, "Oh, this is so
because that
cool."
highway goes right by.
Yeah. We were up in Johnstown, Colorado, which is right up by Wisconsin. And is it Wisconsin or Wyoming? Wyoming. Yeah, right up by Wyoming. And we were just like 45 minutes north, and the guy that we were playing a club up there, and he was a big biker guy, and his name was Dana. Like a biker named Dana. And he had this big old beard, and he had this big, freaking ape hangers on his bike and stuff. And he goes, "You take that bike up through the mountains." And I was like, "It's a $50,000 motorcycle. I've never ridden one with ape hangers before." He goes, "Oh, that's cool, man." He grabs them, they're ratcheting so you could pull them down. I was like, "Now I'm ready." So took my wife, and we went up, took his $50,000 motorcycle up through the mountains, and he just trusted me. He's like, "Here you go, just don't wreck it." I'm like, "Yeah, no pressure there."
Yeah.
What if a bear runs out in front of me? Is it okay to hit it? Don't ruin my bike, man. I'm not paying you to play if you ruin my bike. He was awesome. I loved him. He was a great guy. So anything else, gentlemen?
I think that about does it.
All right, man.
We appreciate it.
No, thank you. You guys are awesome.
There you go, Eddie Green from Even the Dogs. Solid guy, solid interview. This band is great. Very professional band, great sound. They got this album coming out later this year that, I really think is going to put them places because they've just got that vibe to them. And the other thing was there towards the end I think he mentioned an interview, but after the interview, he let us hear 5 or 6 of the songs, like snippets of them.
Yeah, crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, and like he mentioned, it's all over the board as far as styles, but it still has, it sounds like them. It's got his vocals. It's just a good mix of stuff. I'm really looking forward to hearing this thing once it's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, they're heavy, they're fast. You feel, you listen to a few of their songs, you feel like you've been jogging for a while.
Yeah.
At least I do.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, just as in with this intro, during that interview, I was up against some kind of cold, allergy, cough kind of thing. So apologize for all the hacking. That was me. Just, ignore that.
Hashtag no hacking.
That's right.
Well, once again, thanks to Eddie for taking the time out to sit down and do that interview with us. Thanks for letting us play the Optimist, and look forward to hearing more from these guys coming this summer, like we said.
Damn right.
And seeing them live at Oklahoma.
Yes.
On the Axis stage. We don't know the day yet, but we'll be there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if this is your first time listening, hit us up, thethunderunderground.com. We've got all our previous 52 podcasts on there. We've got reviews up for all kinds of independent and national stuff. There's even even the Dogs review that Jason wrote like 10 months ago.
Yeah.
It was one of the first things I think we put up there, actually.
Yeah, it is.
And we've got Facebook at facebook.com/The Thunder Underground. We're on YouTube at The Thunder Underground and Periscope at Thunder Underground. And Twitter, THNDRUNDR Ground. And if you've got a band and you want us to play some music, thethunderunderground@gmail.com, or that's just our email. Send us anything you want.
Yeah, send us, MP3, send us a link to your Bandcamp or whatever, get on it.
Yep. Well, do we got anything else we need to talk about before we say see you on 53? Or
yeah, I think we got that one wrapped up.
All right, well, until next time.
Later on.
Thunder Underground, y'all.